Yes. Good to see you all. Those people over there, by the way, those 37, they're the only 37 people on Earth who really believe the Partridge family played their own instruments. It's very, very sad. Yes. Yes. They don't know. Oh, well, actually, a lot of you look familiar. I know these people. This is a guy who lives in the crawl space of a Roach Motel. Am I right? We met, yes. Yes, we both wanted that spot. Yes, I know this guy. I know everybody here. So that group up there, that's an up-and-coming family of rock and rollers who are also managed by Reuben Kincaid. Sandy, show those people. Yes. Yeah. I'm very excited to have my first guests here. They're a family we all grew up with, except that guy there. You don't seem real excited, sir, but that's all right. I can hardly wait to meet the youngest one in curls, huh? Here's a blast from the past to get you in the mood. Three beloved members of television's Partridge family, Shirley Jones, Denny Bonaducci, and David Cassidy. I guess you get that seat.
Sit down here, okay?
Hey, what can I say? You're the sex symbol, but you gotta slap the end of the couch.
After that clip, I'll be lucky to have a career.
Did that put pressure on you when you were young? I'm sorry, Shirley. Did that put pressure on you when you were young, being the sex symbol on the show?
Well, no. In fact, I liked playing the character because he became really an airhead and a bimbo, which I could relate to very well. It put pressure on me as David, trying to get people to see me as me, as opposed to that. It worked within the framework of the show for me to play that guy. All of the madness that happened to David, as opposed to the character on the show, when I would go out on tour on the weekends, there was no Partridge family, it was me. Mm-hmm. So the hysteria and the madness and all of that accompanied me, sure, put a tremendous amount of pressure on me. I lost basically my own identity. I became that guy in people's minds. And as much fun as it was to play him, mm-hmm. for us to do what we did, it became impossible for me to come through. For David, for people to see me as what I was, which was really, in many ways, the antithesis of Keith.
Yeah. Let's work our way this way. You talked about going out on the road. Yeah. You actually opened for him as a stand-up.
And it was great. The best opening act I've ever had.
Of course, I was in the newspapers pretty much at that time. And by the way, let me just thank you. This is the first talk show I've ever done without being arrested first. And sitting here with David and Shirley, it's usually Todd Bridges and Dana Plato.
Good company now.
Yeah. So I walked down on my first night nervous. I'd never done stand-up. And I walked out my very first night to tell my very first joke, scared to death. And I walked out and I looked at this audience who was silent, just stared at me like, okay, we've been reading about you, man. What are you gonna do now? And I said, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the David Cassidy Work Release Program.
Oh, that must have killed.
They cracked up, and I did, 15 minutes. It was a very short bit, and then David came in, and it was insane. It was insane like it was then. I mean, they went crazy. Yeah. It was neat. It was really neat.
Now, you have kind of a special bond with David beyond the show.
Yeah, I like the kid.
But it goes deeper than that. He's a relative of sorts.
He's my stepson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you actually got to know him on the show.
Related. Well, actually, David, you know, most of his young life lived with his mother, so I didn't really get to know him as a little kid, and I was, I think in his eyes, the wicked stepmother anyway. So.
Is that true?
Well, you know, I suppose for me, because I grew up I came from a broken home when I was about 3 and a half.
Yeah. Very young.
My dad basically left and married Shirley, and my mom and I, you know, the most difficult thing about all of this was trying to get people straight about the perception is that, I mean, I really love her, and she is part of my family, but I have a real mother.
Right.
My mother...
And that was very difficult for him.
Right.
He was 7 years old when we met, so, you know, he really was a baby. And he didn't know who I was, and, you know, didn't really get to know me as a child because I didn't see him very often, you know. And then when we did the Partridge Family, we were both adults, and we really became friends on an adult level. You know, we got to know each other as people. So
Yeah, I never lived with her.
That was wonderful. No, because we never lived with
Well,
her.
as long as we're bearing our souls, it is the 90s. There's no reason to be ashamed. Is Reuben my real dad?
No, Marty Ingalls is.
Okay. People keep asking. I'm so confused.
I'm not your mother, but Marty Ingalls is your father.
Actually, it's good you all are related because you remember what happened to Greg Brady and the mother on that show. So
Greg and the Weston Oil lady.
that's too deep. Too deep. So it's good you're related.
Let's take that one final walk down memory lane, David.
When he was signed to do the Partridge Family, he didn't know I was going to play Mrs. Partridge.
Right.
And he came on, I knew about him, but, you know, he didn't know about me. And he came on the set and he said, "What are you doing here?" And I said, "I'm your mother again."
It was pretty bizarre. You know, I'd done about 5 auditions, and contrary to, I guess, public opinion, I was an actor who I was trying to pay my rent. You know, like when you're 19 years old and you move out and you do everything. And I read this pilot. I went on about 5 auditions for this role, and they hadn't cast the other parts. We got down to the day that they tested both Danny, Susan, myself. There was 2 characters. There were 2 actors for every character. And I walked in, and there she was, and I thought, there's some mistake here. And it was great. It was good.
That's the end of that story?
Believe me now,
We'll be right back.
We'll block off the whole street and invite everyone we can.
We'll get all the businessmen to chip in. Free drinks for everyone. Everything free.
Then we'll take up donations and save the firehouse.
You know, man, it might work. I bet like Lucky's restaurant to go for it, and we get some free groceries.
But no, man, there's no time. We have to get permits. And besides, who would know about it?
Look, there's a lot of problems. There's a lot of us to work them out. Well, not to blow my own horn, but I'm a genius at organization.
Hey, man, what do we got to lose anyway, right? Even if it fails, we have the biggest party the town's ever seen, and we'll just go on down in flames.
That's not the best choice of words.
I'll go get the businessmen together.
I'll go to the police and get the permit.
Listen, I have an idea for a song. It's sort of an Afro thing.
Oh, you haven't heard I'm the world's greatest musical arranger?
No, I haven't.
I just told you.
Okay, man, you're on.
You have to stay.
It's sort of an
Hold it. I got an idea for a song. It's sort of an Afro thing. Yeah, my dialogue, okay? Oh, I've got an idea for a song. It's kind of an Afro thing.
When Richard Pryor walked in and saw us, he was appalled. There we were standing there in these red velvet suits, and he goes, "What is this, 5 white kids dressed like Superfly?"
Actually, we have an early TV guide in the Abbey. Can I see that? That velvet look. Yes.
Yeah,
Jamming.
maroon velvet.
Hey, wow, where's Susan?
She was there then.
Yeah, she was there then. Where's Susan?
Let me ask you something. When you saw that piece of me and Richard, was it as scary as I thought it was? Because I honestly have not seen that show since we did it.
Actually, that's my favorite episode.
I love that one, too.
I mean-
I just said that to him.
Yeah.
That,
Yeah,
that and the
That was,
Christmas
I think,
show.
the 4th
were
or
my-
5th show that we did, and
I'm sorry, David has an idea.
no, this is going nowhere.
No, go on.
Punchline Arsenio, no.
He thinks he's on Costas. There's one guy, one host, you know. It's like, go on, David.
I think when we picked David up last,
No, I'm just kidding. Actually, let's talk about this man. Now, you watched him grow
Yeah,
up.
I did.
And we've heard him bare his soul in the last couple years on all the daytime shows. What was he like as a kid?
He was a little terror. He was a holy terror, you know. He's cleaned up his act now, I'm glad to say.
you.
But I said this afternoon, and I said it to him, and I've said it over and over again. Danny was never a bad boy. He was mischievous, and he was a real boy, you know. He got into trouble all the time, but he was so sweet inside, and he still is. You know, he has a big heart. But he needed discipline, and I was just the lady to give it to him.
She was. One time, Shirley actually grounded me on the set of the Partridge Family. There's a living room set and a staircase that leads up to a mythical second floor where my bedroom would be, and I was causing trouble, and Shirley all of a sudden just went, Danny, go to your room and stay there. And the whole crew went like silent and went, all right, Shirley has now flipped out. But I mean, it was like right then I knew who was in charge and what to do, and I went about doing my business, went back to work.
Yeah, he was just a real little boy.
Yeah. And, of course, David, with his obsession with afros. Was David the perfect kid?
Well, he was an adult then, you know, and the only problem that David had as far as the work group was concerned is that he was out doing concerts every weekend. So Monday morning, you know, exhausted as he was, you know, he'd be late frequently. And the only time I remember that I really felt that David and I had to talk was because he was holding up a crew and he was holding up the actors. And it was because he had been working all night, which is true, isn't that true?
I like the way this is going.
Television, yeah,
I like the
saying
way
I'm
this is
late.
going.
This is good for my reputation. Yeah, I like this.
But he got over that.
No, because he had to work
Yeah,
day and
he was
night.
working every
You know,
weekend.
David and Shirley sang on the albums. The rest of the Partridge Family was pretty much Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
I mean, you know. But David would record all night. He'd do concert tours during the hiatus. So the guy worked around the clock. Me, I did my 8 hours, did my 3 hours of school, and I was done.
Yeah, and I became a mother again when I went home.
Danny's working a lot now in Chicago. I started stand-up there, and so all my friends call me and they tell me about the things that you and Brandmeier do on
On
the air.
WLUPAM 1000.
You might as well mention it. As a matter of fact, I heard that mentioning it, I got part of the story. What's going on with mentioning that guy?
Larry Wirt would be his name. Oh, thank you, Arsenio. I get $1,000 cash every time I mention my boss, Larry Wirt.
Wait a minute. Wait, now, he's gonna give you $1,000?
If he doesn't get in trouble by his boss, Jimmy DeCastro or Scotty Ginsburg.
Wait, is there something in it mentioning their names too?
$1,000 every time.
For all the other guys
There
too?
was about $5,000 I just made
What were
right
their
here.
names?
Scotty Ginsburg, Jim DeCastro, and Larry Wirt.
You have to split it with him.
Well, what I'd like to do is if I could give some of that to Dare in your name, would that be cool?
No, in
'Cause that's-
our name.
That's real near and dear
In
to my
our
heart
name.
now.
What's the man's name again?
His name's Larry Wirt.
Hey, Larry, is that $1,000?
Larry, that's
if I
$1,000.
say it, is it money?
Oh, yeah, you say it, it might be more.
Larry! Ginsburg, what's up, man?
Ginsburg, that's
Ginsburg,
good.
Ginsburg! For the kids, baby!
Oh,
For the kids!
oh, God!
Okay, but actually, see, now, that sounds simple. What I heard was that you had a tattoo or something. I knew that was exaggerated.
No, it's not. My first day on the air, because I get fired a lot.
Oh.
My first day on the air, live on the air, I tattooed the station's logo and 2 disc jockeys' name and Mr. Wirt's name on my right cheek, because I thought it would be harder to fire a guy whose body bears your name.
Oh.
So I have a tattoo on my that says their names.
No stunt is too low for Danny
No.
Bonaducci.
How much would they give you if you showed your ass? Are you serious? They promised you $5,000?
5 G's.
Wait, but did they actually promise you this?
5 G's. 5 G's.
You got it in writing?
Yeah, I got it. I got it on tape. They said it on the air.
So you have it on tape?
Oh, yeah, I got it.
Show your ass, man! Wait. Okay. Are we giving the $5,000 to Dare?
Sure, you got a deal. You got a deal.
Onion! Onion! Onion!
Excuse me, just one moment.
Yes! We'll be back! How do you follow his ass?
What can you say? What can you do now?
Really closely.
It's kind of cute, Danny.
Thank you, Shirley. It's the first time
I
you've
haven't
ever
seen
seen
it
that.
since you were a baby.
Hey, this is how that great Grady's thing started. Now, just stop.
You know,
Stop.
Shirley.
Stop. Stop. You know, were you all in awe of her when it all began? This lady had an Oscar.
Well, I tell you, she really set a tone on the set that I learned a lot about because I became a star from that show. And she set a tone on the set that was great. I learned basically how to deal and handle an awful lot of people coming after, because in the beginning, nobody knew us. And she really handled herself so well, always. And she set a great example for her. There was a great sense of family about that show. I mean, do you concur with that?
I agree completely. So I went home with Shirley a lot. Now, don't you start.
Okay.
But I spent a lot of weekends.
Play with my children.
You know, at the Jones house. I used to do magic shows with Sean Cassidy.
It was the Cassidy household at the time.
I said Sean Cassidy. I used to do
the
magic.
Jones house.
Well, I went home.
Dad got
I
a
did
little
Shirley
upset
Jones.
with Jack Jones. Yeah. Yeah.
But I used to do magic acts with Sean. And spend the weekend at Shirley's house. So, I mean, I really had a sense of family growing up there. Because I was a little kid. I was 10 through 14 years old. So that's really the childhood I remember, is the Partridge family.
It's fun having him.
By the way, we mentioned it earlier, and I didn't get a chance to say congratulations on your personal life, man. How many days now?
3 years, 3 months, 21 days today, clean and sober.
Yeah. Thank you, man. You got a hand, man. Yes. What? Now, you're gonna sing for us.
Yes.
No way, pal.
Oh, come on. Come on. Actually, can I ask you one question before we get into that? Where is Susan?
Yeah, where the hell? Lighten up, babe.
Where is Susan? It's like Judge Crater. Remember Judge Crater?
Oh,
Whatever happened to Judge Crater? Whatever happened to Susan Day?
I don't know. You know, now that she's not on that show, I have this terrible feeling I'm going to see on Geraldo sitting next to Marsha Brady. Come on out, babe.
A lot of Partridge Brady mixes tonight, you know? Okay, so we should ask him to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should. Come on.
Not after that ass. Come on,
Come
baby.
on.
That's an impossible act to follow.
Come on, David.
Come
One
on.
more thing. One more thing. Aren't you doing a book about your relationship with your husband?
Yes, it's coming out in paperback. Hardback was 2 years ago. It's coming out in paperback
And it's about living
this
with
month.
Marty or something?
Oh, yeah. And that's some story, I'll tell you. Living with Marty in
Yeah.
itself is
Shameless
some
plugging
story.
here, is that what we're
You
doing?
know, David's got a book coming out.
Hey.
David's got a book coming out.
I know, Marty, if she made that work, I should go find that book.
That's right. Exactly.
Must have magic
That's
inside.
right.
I always thought that, but didn't have the guts to say it.
'Cause you met him, right?
Oh, yeah. So what?
Anyway, would you like to sing, sir?
No, I want to talk about the book and the Broadway show and do some more shameless plugging.
How do you keep your weight down, man? Look at you.
Yeah,
Stand up.
get outta here.
You look great, man.
Okay.
Okay.
Ah. Come on and sing. I was trying to get you up, then I'd get you over. Oh, here's a mic. Here's a mic.
And right in the middle of a good dream, like all at once I wake up from something that keeps knocking at my brain. Before I go insane, I hold my pillow to my head and I spring up in my bed, screaming out the words I dread. I think I love you. This morning I woke up with this feeling I didn't know how to deal with, and so I just decided to myself I'd hide it to myself, and I never talk about it. But didn't I go and shout it when you walked into my room? I think I love you. Sing that one. I think I love you. So what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm not sure of a love there is no cure for. I think I love you. Isn't that what life is made of? Embarrassing. It worries me to say I never felt this way. I took the world, so I need so much to think about. Hey, I think I love you. So what am I so afraid of? I'm afraid that I'm not sure of love there is no. Johnny B, I love you. Hey, I think I love you. Isn't that what life is made of? Though it worries me to say I never miss my brother. to say, hey, get away, I will. But I think that I'd better stick around and love you. You think I've got a case? Let me ask you to your face. Do you think you love me? Well, I think I love you. Come on, sing with me. I think I love you. Come on, sing. Yeah. Come on, sing a little. Sing it one more time. I think I love you. I think I love you.
David! You still got it! David!